All right. And so today I want to speak about a really hot topic that's been coming down the pipeline with commercial insurance. That's cyber liability or cyber insurance. Like it's a hot topic everywhere. Everyone's talking about it. Um, Everything's hitting the news, like the Colonial Pipeline. Some of the major corporations have been hitting the news, but a lot of times is the businesses that are affected aren't hitting the news. These are the small to medium businesses. They fall between the cracks, and no one really understands it. But for the most part, for most small businesses like us, a cyber event is catastrophic. It really depends on how you operate. Some most small businesses operate. They put everything online. They do um, payment cards and anything like that. And a breach is very expensive. People don't understand how expensive a breach is. It's very expensive, especially for a small business. It'll put you right out. So I just want to talk about cyber insurance and just give you like an idea what it is, and what it covers. And so, first thing I want to talk about is a product we have, which is called the PrivaSafe. Is a product proprietary to USI Insurance Services, but everything in here is actually talking about cyber insurance. So it's not product driven; it's more like the process driven. So we'll teach you the process of what cyber insurance and what it covers. And so let me hear. And so cyber insurance is increasing risk. You know, everyone um, with everything going online, a cyber event is becoming more and more apparent. Even bigger corporations where everyone's working remote, a lot of times is there's a lot of exposure there. So what we do at USI and what cyber insurance does is it covers a cyber event. And there's four types of cyber events where I will get into, but I just want to talk about a few things. So um, cyber events are financially catastrophic. I did mention that. And standard policies, a lot of times if you go get a cookie cutter policy from a small brokerage, or you call in like the Hartford or something, you have to understand that they don't really give you much. There is a very cookie cutter policy designed for small events, maybe a data breach, maybe a hacking event, but they don't cover ransom, or they don't cover social engineering. These are actually the biggest ones. The biggest uh, events that happen to you is going to be a ransom event and a social engineering event. And so, all right, so let's take a look here. So why is social insurance important, especially for small businesses? Being that most small businesses will tell themselves, hey, what's a hacker going to do with me? Why is he really gonna come after my business opposed to a bigger business? But the thing is, reality is, small to medium businesses are prime targets because they're easy to hack. The hackers, they can go in, they can hack you or put a ransom on you, and very quickly. So that's why even though you're a small business, you might be a target. One of the biggest targets actually for cyber events is healthcare and schools. And for some reason, they're just coming at them only because they know they're going to get paid out because of the public entities are always getting hacked. And they never hit the news. They will never tell you, but they're occurring more frequently. And as organizations get more advanced, use more technology, become more at risk. Um, Breach events are really expensive. I think going into learning about cyber insurance, I didn't really understand how expensive a breach event is. Um, it's very expensive. The lawsuits, the fines, the response costs is really expensive. You could be a small business, and it'll put you right out of business with just one event. And so what's the impact of it? To avoid um, coverage gap and weaknesses, what we do at USI is we take a look at your full exposures. So it's pre-breach events and post-breach events. So if you ever experience a cyber event, we help you during the pre-event, and then we help you post. So that means we'll help you get your business back in up and running, and then we'll help you with the breach cost and the fines and all the regulatory actions that can be taken to you. All right, so that's why it's important to actually, if your business, you need cyber insurance, make sure that you customize it and work with a broker that can give you real solutions, not just a cookie cutter one that will help you with maybe a hacking and a breach. And so these are the type of companies that need this type of stuff. So if you hold personal identifiable information, or PII, you need a cyber insurance, because if that information is leaked out, you can be fined. You will pay fees. Healthcare. If you're into the healthcare, you hold personal healthcare information, PHI. Cyber insurance will be very important to you. And a company that manages networks. So if you're managing someone's network, you really need to have cyber insurance for yourself. And if you accept credit cards, this is the one that a lot of businesses are exposed to. Credit cards. If you take in credit cards, even if you use a third party vendor to take a credit card, you can still be liable for a breach event. So you got to look at the contracts that you buy with these vendors, because a lot of businesses, they will use a third party to take the payment, and then they'll tell themselves, like, if there's a breach event, I got a third party company that's going to take care of all that. You have to look at your contracts with that third party vendors, because you still might be held liable for a breach event or a hacking. And here's the four types of cyber events. So there's the data breach. So data breach is when they take protected and confidential data, they've been stolen and used by unauthorized individuals. And business interruption. This is when the attacks directly or indirectly cause your business to stop. So either they break down your network, break down your system, and that's what's called business interruption, where you're completely out, because you can't. And cyber extortion is when they lock your system, and then you have to pay a ransom uh, to 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 get back and running. This is similar to the Colonial Pipeline, where they locked their whole system up. They had to pay them ransom, and then they unlocked them. And social engineering. This is one that's emerging. Basically, vendors posing. A lot of times, people will pose as vendors, either through email or through invoice, and say, "Hey, we didn't take payment," or whatever. That's actually covered in cyber insurance. If you send money to a vendor, not knowing that they're not the right vendor, um, this cyber insurance actually protects you. So there was a situation where a controller was getting emails from one of his vendors, and they were asking, "Hey, we didn't receive payment," and the controller was like, "Listen, here's your payment. Send them $400,000 for the vendor." And then they realized that it went to the wrong person. It looks like the email had everything, and then there was one letter off. It was like dot something. And so when they realized that, they were down $400,000, and they couldn't retrieve the money back because they didn't have cyber. So it's really important to know that these social engineering events are starting to become more apparent, and they're really smart. So And so there's different type of coverages. There's first party coverages, third party coverages, and a notification cost. So first party coverages, this is the cyber extortion, business interruption, the network recovery. That's the first party part of a cyber insurance. This is usually when you get a cookie cutter policy, the first party is what they'll cover. They'll cover usually a few of these on the first party's part. But USI, or if you work with a broker, then we have what we call third party coverages, and this will protect your multimedia liability coverages, your security and liability coverages, trade secrets liability. So if you have trade secrets, Internet of Things, and bodily injury due to cyber events. So that could be a big one depending on your type of business. If you get breached of a cyber event, and it cause harm, physical or property harm, a third party coverages or exposures would help. And notification. This is actually the one that's going to be really big for most businesses, is the breach response costs. The notification costs. That's very expensive. That portion of a cyber event is very expensive. And so, business interruption. How does it work? It's basically, if your business is down due to a cyber event. So if your business is completely inoperable, that's what business interruption. That is why is actually the biggest part of a cyber insurance. If you look at cyber insurance, it's not so much the data breach, not so much all that. That is very important, but your business could be down for an extended period of time. If your business goes down for 2 to 3 weeks, you still have to pay your bills. Mortgage has to be paid. Your vendors have to be paid. Everything still has to be paid. You can't just be like furlough all your people and stop everything. That's why business interruption is really important, because once a cyber event happens, the insurance companies pays for everything, pays for your bills, gives you the money that as if you were running. So when you recover from this event, you're not starting from zero, or starting with a lot of debt, taking on loans to try to cover the cost of your business interruption.
2 seconds left. So if you want to wrap up, if you can.
Yeah, this is the last part. And so here, let me get to the last part here. And so cyber insurance is kind of an emerging place, and a lot of people don't know where it's going to go, and a lot of times it's getting very hard for businesses to actually get it. And so if you're small businesses that are emerging, that are starting and are really starting to mature and scale up, have them speak with me, or even look at cyber insurance as a way to protect their business in the future, because we don't know what's this heading. This is something that we're in uncharted territories when it comes to cyber. So if you know anyone, if you yourself need to just take a look at it, what's going on and what the options are, feel free to reach out to me. All right, and that's it. And I'll wrap up here. Let me just stop sharing my screen.
Thank you. Any questions, anyone? I know I have a question. In a ballpark, just so people can have an idea, compared to your regular BOP or business operating policy, what does a cyber policy cost, or is it added on to your business operating policy?
It's added on. So you can get what we call like a cyber breach or small endorsement on a BOP or a business owner's policy, but a full cyber with all the coverages, the first party, the third party, and the notification, you would need a full cyber, and that's a separate policy.
And usually, I know it'll be vary, but how close does the cost range between a BOP and that? Well, just so people have a reference point as to what they would expect.
Yeah, cost wise, it really depends on the size of your business. A full cyber policy is anywhere between 1,500 plus. Usually start around 1,500 for a full cyber when it comes to all 4 breach events.
Excellent. Thank you so much, sir.
Hey, Dennis.
Yes, sir.
People need to know if they have a brick and mortar business policy, which includes business interruption, it is a separate provision, what he's talking about. Okay, the cyber policy is a separate provision than your general business interruption provision.
That's correct.